Hey, it's Mark Ferguson with Invest for More, and today I'm talking about a crazy situation in Aurora, Colorado, where an apartment building was forced to be evicted with 6 days' notice by the city of Aurora. 90 apartments were forced to leave in 6 days. Aurora didn't really have a place for them to go. Didn't say it was their problem, but they did end up helping in the end. But that's not the crazy part of this story. The crazy part of this story is there's a lot of rumors about Venezuelan gangs taking over this apartment complex. He said tenants described to him gang members breaking into vacant apartments, patrolling with assault rifles, and threatening them to pay rent to the gang members, not the owner. And if you listen to the news and watch the news and listen to the city of Aurora, they say that's not true. There's no proof. There's no evidence of that happening. But the more you dig into this and the more you look into it, there's a lot of proof and evidence that it actually might be happening. And I found an interview with the owner of these properties, and we've got some video from police and other council members from Aurora saying they think it's 100% true. So the reason I'm talking about this is because I'm a landlord. I have properties. I'm in Colorado, just 50 miles away from this area where this happened, and we've dealt with evictions and different issues before. But this is crazy and just wacky what the city is doing, or possibly what the owner did. Who knows who's right in this, but we'll try and sift through it and let you decide what really happened here. All right, so I actually made this video, was uploading it, and I found more crazy information. So I basically found the reports Aurora filed and the violations for what this guy did, and I'll show a lot of that at the end, but they went after this guy for anything they possibly could. These reports are showing damaged screens that don't fit right, inoperable vehicles. Yes, there is some stuff like broken windows, but they took him to court multiple times for inoperable vehicles, which I think means they had expired tags. In one picture they show is even 2 guys jumping their car, and that's listed as a violation for working on your car. So we'll go through a lot of this, but at the end I've got even more that I found after originally finding a whole lot of stuff. Okay, so this is the apartment complex right here. Bahamas. There's different names for it all over the place. But it's called Fitzsimmons Place. One was, what was it? The Grove or something. But anyway, this owner bought the property in 2019. Aurora says they've had code violations and issues since then. But the code violations are really crazy when you actually read what they're about. And this owner has not fixed up the property. So they say because of lack of the owner fixing up the property, they were forced to close it for tenant safety and kick all the tenants out. So here is the apartment Google Street View from November 2023. And they said there were rats, electrical, plumbing problems, bed bugs, all kinds of issues at this apartment building that forced them to close it down. Now, what the owner says is that, looking right here, Venezuelan gangs took over the property, the police have not helped him, and it's impossible for him to fix the apartments and make them livable because he literally doesn't have access to the property because of armed gangs patrolling the property, collecting rent, and moving people into the property. So how do we know what's true and what's not true? Well, let's look at some of these articles first that talk about this. All right, so 9 News is one of the main news sources here in Colorado, and I saw an article about this, and they were just flat out, nope, it wasn't Venezuelan gangs, nothing happened here, it's just the owner being bad, there's no evidence of it. But at the same time, they didn't interview any people, they didn't interview the police, and so they just kind of echoed what Aurora said, and the city plans to shut down the building not for gangs, but for bad living conditions, including rat infestations, piled up trash, missing windows, and other issues. The city of Aurora is debunking claims that Aurora apartment building has been taken over by gangs. While the city doesn't dismiss it, there's a possibility of gang activity, and they're looking for a connection. The building on East Colfax Avenue has issues of poor living condition dating back years. Yada, yada, yada. The management group stopped paying the water bill, pretty much has abandoned the building. And the city says they exhausted efforts to work with the property owners, and none of those issues had been addressed. So the city was forced to evict everybody with 6 days notice. So they literally gave them 6 days notice, And on Tuesday, they sent in the police, made sure everybody was out, boarded up the property, fenced the property, and basically relied on nonprofits in the area to try and help those people. Eventually, I think Aurora did help pay for hotel rooms for them, but it just sounded completely awful. And it's tricky to know what's going on here based on some of the news you might hear. But I found an article that has quite a bit of information on it, and we found some videos that talk about it as well.
At any of the troubled apartment complexes. However, Councilmember Danielle Jurinski told us today she strongly believes there is organized crime at the complexes in question.
I have several residents telling me that there's a huge gang presence, and they believe that their own complex has been taken over by these gangs.
2 residents told Fox 31 the same thing as we toured one of the complexes yesterday. A law enforcement expert told Fox 31 today, proving that gang activity exists can be extremely difficult.
Because they're undocumented, it's going to be harder to identify them. And I think at this point they don't really care because they don't have IDs.
That expert also telling us that these gangs will try to make money off of things like drugs and other things. We also talked to the city of Aurora today, and they're telling us that this apartment complex, one of the 3, will be cleaned up on Thursday, and the investigation into code violations continues. Reporting live in
So there are multiple other apartment buildings in the area that haven't been shut down that supposedly this is happening at too, and that's what they were talking about here. So there literally is evidence all over that this is happening. And this is the article that is most interesting to me. Aurora lawmaker insists without evidence. Now, I've been frustrated with journalism ever since COVID, but I'd love to hear the news reported and different sides reported without them telling me what to think so much. Like, why do they have to put this without evidence part in here? Aurora lawmakers insist without evidence, Venezuelan gang responsible for apartment closure. This entire article is literally full of evidence on why Venezuelan gangs are probably responsible for this apartment closure, so it seems odd they had to put that in there. So this has an interview from the property owner, and we won't read the whole thing, but I'll try and read the highlights. So immigrants from Venezuela remain at the center of persistent controversy in Aurora, with 4 city lawmakers on Thursday offering commentary narratives about gang members, flash mobs, and national immigration policy. City officials notified residents they must vacate their condemned apartments in North Aurora complex by next Tuesday, a move that some city lawmakers without evidence or details say is the result of Venezuelan gang activity, although we'll see all those evidence here in the article. Let's see here. Oh, this is interesting. On July 28th, as many as 4,000 cars descended on the parking lots in the gardens on Havana Shopping Center in West Central Aurora, apparently to celebrate what at the time looked like a political demise of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. This goes on a little bit, but it wasn't just a celebration. It turned into kind of a pretty big issue. But there's lots of social media things about it being massive shootings, different things. It's hard to know what exactly happened. But anyway, a few days later, the owner of a Northwest Aurora apartment complex and his public relations agent told the media that Venezuelan gangs had effectively taken over his 99-unit complex. City officials countered the claim, saying that the complex is slated for closure next week after more than 2 years of neglect and mismanagement, creating a bevy of public safety and health violations that has left the complex uninhabitable. Then this is from the city council. None of us buy that story. This is based on code enforcement violation. So these are the council members saying this is not based on code enforcement. Danielle Jurinski said at the end of the committee meeting, referring to herself and fellow committee members, council members Stephanie Hancock and Steve Sundberg, the 3 of us believe there is a huge gang problem. So Aurora kind of confirms this as well, at least a massive amount of violence as we read through this. While city officials provide extensive city and court records documenting hundreds of unsafe living conditions and police calls to the building, police have not publicly said whether Tren de Arruga gang members are active at the complex and responsible for crimes. Sundberg said he's convinced the TDA gang is extensive and that they have taken over multiple apartment complexes in the city. The mayor, Hughes Kaufman, distanced himself from the assertion, saying that he was confident TDA gangs were present in the metro area, but the history of safety violations at the embattled complex was well established, and the police have not made clear what crimes the complex were gang-related. The problems go way back. So, this is more about the flash mob. We're going to keep going here. Oh, this is interesting as well. They have set up a task force for Venezuelan gangs in Aurora. The Aurora Police Department has. They haven't said if it's for these apartment buildings or not, but they literally set up a task force for Venezuelan gangs, which would suggest there could be a problem there. All right, so here's the Aspen Grove. That's what it's called. So the owner told the Sentinel, this is where this article is, I think, the Aurora Police Department has failed to control what he says is unchecked Venezuelan gang activity at his apartment buildings. The city denies that and points to a property manager facing court actions for numerous health and safety code violations at the building dating back to 2019, before Venezuelan immigrants arrived in Colorado. All of the residents at Aspen Grove listed at 1568 Nome face eviction next week, which did happen, yada, yada, yada. They provided photos and records to the media yesterday documenting rat, mice, and cockroach infestation, piles of garbage, dangerous electrical and plumbing issues, among other health and safety problems. We got to get to the interesting stuff. Underlying the growing dispute is how Denver and Aurora are handling the challenges of a wave of 40,000 Venezuelan migrants coming to the region over the last 2 years. The surge of migrants has overloaded local immigrant resources. Denver is not huge. Aurora has 400,000 people. Denver Metro has a couple million. That is a massive amount of people. And you might wonder why. I mean, it could be there's controversy about immigrants being shipped to Denver. Well, this article talks about how Denver, let's go through here, more than 38,500 migrants, most of them fleeing political turmoil, have come through Denver in the past year. The city has spent $42 million, much of it renting rooms in hotels so the newcomers who cross the border, some legally and some illegally, have a warm place to sleep. That could be why there's so many coming here, because they know they get a free hotel room, and that could be part of the issue here. But back to this. The owner spoke to the Sentinel, the owner of the apartment complex, the property, and what's going on there. Now, the owner told the Sentinel that he's pushed Aurora police since last September to help remove what he claims are members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Arruga squatting in his buildings and threatening his tenants and employees. He said tenants described to him gang members breaking into vacant apartments, patrolling with assault rifles, and threatening them to pay rent to the gang members, not the owner. City officials deny that this is part of the cease issue, but police officials would not say if there's TDA gang activity or members at this complex or others nearby. A document obtained by the Sentinel from Albuquerque police warned police in the Denver area that the TDA gang is active and was given a green light by gang leaders in Venezuela to shoot local law enforcement. There are reasons to believe that members of this gang are tied to crimes in the area, police said. Confirming gang affiliation is challenging because suspected members of this gang often give false identities during law enforcement contacts and typically do not admit membership to the gang. City officials, however, repeatedly said the issue of Aspen Grove is unrelated to that. But this is where it gets really interesting. Aurora spokesman Ryan Luby points to a September 2023 order against the property managers at the complex to cease overlooking years of documented crime activity or face consequences of a city nuisance abatement law. So remember how the city just told us it was all code violations and rats and mice that caused this? Well, in 2023, the order was against years of documented crime activity. So they want the landlords to stop the crime at the apartment complex. It's that measure being imposed next Tuesday. Eviction notices were posted across the complex on Wednesday and each tenant was notified. So now they're saying it wasn't really for the code violations, it was actually because the landlord is not ceasing the crime at the apartment building. The complex owner says not only has APD, I think that's Aurora Police Department, failed to respond to the majority of his calls, but due in part to lack of their action, the gang members have fully taken over his properties and that he hasn't had a presence there for almost 6 weeks. I told them time and time again, if you guys only took this seriously 8 months ago, 9 months ago, you probably could have stomped it out with relative ease, he told the Sentinel. Aurora said the allegations are diversionary tactics, and fabricated narratives, a years-long history of substantial, long-standing unresolved code violations and uncontrolled crimes. Again, they mentioned crimes committed among the residents began in 2020, according to city records, the year after the owner bought the property. The issues have included rodent infestations, a lack of heat and electricity, sewage backups, trash pileups, leaks, shattered or missing windows. Online apartments say they rent for $1,600 a month. Owner stopped paying the city's water bill. The nuisance letter, this is very interesting too, sent last September to the complex owner and property manager threatened to close down the apartment building specifically for criminal nuisance, pointing to over 100 calls for service to only one building from October 22 to September 23. These included calls for shots fired, stolen cars, trespassing, disturbing the peace, assault, arson, drugs, and loitering. The owner told the Sentinel that those are problems for the police to address. They can't expect these issues to be resolved by landowners. I would agree. I am not sure what you want the landlord to do when shots are fired. Like, I think that's when you call the police, or when cars are stolen. I think that's when you call the police. And Aurora's saying, well, the police are monitoring it and helping, but then they're saying it's the landlord's fault that he isn't stopping the crime. So it's like, are the police really going there? I'm not saying they're not. I don't know for sure what's happening here. But when Aurora says the landlord is supposed to stop the crime, it makes it very interesting on what is going on and what's really happening, because I would think that's a police issue. At the very end, the city it was unclear Monday night whether there can be a resolution by next week. Other than closing down the building, residents will have until the morning of October 13th to vacate their apartments, officials said. The city acknowledged they do not have shelter for the tenants of the building and instead say they are working with the state for available resources in the metro's area's nonprofit community. So there you go. That is what is going on at this apartment. They kicked them out, gave them 6 days notice. The city claims it's for electrical and plumbing and rats. However, it sounds like the actual orders were for criminal activity that the landlord was not stopping. And the landlord says it's due to Venezuelan gangs patrolling the building. And I've heard other rumors, and I can't find any information on it, so it's hard for me to say if it's 100% or not. But the rumor is that when a unit goes vacant, the Venezuelan gang will move people into it. Denver's a sanctuary city, or Aurora's too, I think. I'm not sure. But basically, it's so hard to evict in that area that they can stay there for months and months and months, maybe even longer. And that the Venezuelan gangs collect rent from them, take that rent, and whenever someone else moves out, they move someone else in, don't have a lease, they pay rent to the gang, and that's just been happening over and over again. And we saw in the news articles, they said most of the residents were Venezuelan. We've seen Venezuelan gang activity in the area confirmed by the police. There's a Venezuelan gang task force. There's the owner saying the Venezuelan gangs took over the property. We have 100 calls for violence to the property in 1 year, and you've got Aurora telling the landlord they've got to stop the crime, they've got to get it under control, or else they will kick everyone out. But there's no gang problem there. It's a crazy situation, and I'm not trying to get political here, but this could be very worrisome for landlords, especially for landlords in Aurora, large apartment complexes. I'm trying to find out how long it's taking to evict people in Aurora. I haven't been able to find that information, so if anybody knows in the area, I'd love to know, because you have what the state says, how long it takes, which can be 3 weeks to 90 days, but that's not always reality, depending on how backed up the courts are, how backed up the sheriff is, the judges. I've seen that in my own case where the judge let squatters stay at my property for a while because they had nowhere to go. So that obviously could be happening in Aurora as well, where they're filing for evictions and the judges are just saying, no, we think it's fine, they can stay. So again, a lot of that information we don't know for sure, and it'd be nice to see, but I don't have the resources to look all those up and figure that out. So if anybody does in the area, I'd love to know. So I actually found some more information after I'd made my video and before I published it. So I'm splicing in the specified crime property determination notice. This is the actual nuisance letter Aurora sent the property owner back in September 26, 2023, which is less than a year ago. And we can read it real quick here. This notice is being sent to you, yada, yada, yada. Criminal activity on a property is a public nuisance under the Aurora Municipal Code. Property owners are expected to be vigilant in preventing or determining crime on or in their property and will be held responsible for the use of their property by tenants, guests, and occupants. There's an extensive criminal call history for this property to include motor vehicle theft, aggravated assault, arson, and disturbing the peace. Notably, crime data indicates crime rates at the property have risen almost 30% since you purchased the property in 2019. It is my determination that the property is a criminal nuisance property in violation of Section 6262 of the Aurora City Code. The calls in the past 12 months that give rise to my findings are as follows. It starts in October 2022. Aggravated assault, gun, fugitive arrest, motor vehicle theft, felony fugitive arrest. I will not read all of these to you because there is quite a few of them, and it keeps going. Now, this is an interesting situation where the city is telling them, hey, there's too much crime at your property, you need to fix it. But I'm not, like, as a property owner, you know, do you evict them? And then the property owner had said before he tried to get the police to help him get rid of squatters and make people leave, and the police would not help him. Whether that's true or not, I have no idea of knowing. But it certainly does not seem this would indicate anything to do with the condition of the property for why they are mad at him, but more crime. And I'll see if I can find any other information as far as notices for the condition of the property. So I found this summons, which was sent by Aurora for an unlawful vehicle on December 7th. There's lots of different words and stuff. It's very hard to read here. We'll see what space and occupancy. This is November 23. Structural. Is that what that says? Structural standards. Space and occupancy. So in this right of entry, this must be one for condition of the property. No plea entered, set for trial. Don't know. I don't know what all this means. Demand for jury trial. I don't know what this, it's about a subpoena. I don't know what that one is. Summons and complaint for substantial building, public nuisance, or substandard building. So again, that was April 24 for another jury trial. This sounds like it's all about a subpoena again. I don't know. Yeah, that's a whole subpoena thing. I'm not a lawyer. Mechanical standard for heating as of January 30th, 2023. Failure to maintain premises, unlawful vehicles. Failure to keep property free of litter, to remove weeds, unlawful outdoor storage, graffiti removal, public nuisance, duty to provide maintain landscaping, parking lot potholes. So that's all exterior stuff. You better not have potholes. Don't know what any of those are. Unlawful vehicle, failure to keep property free of litter, substandard building, public nuisance, heating screens, is that what that says? Responsibilities, something, okay. Mechanical standards, heat, exposed wires, sanitation standards, structural standards, walls and ceiling. So this is the owner asking for witnesses, arrest records, police calls, 911 calls, and this was filed May 18th, 2023. So I think this is them trying to show that they're trying to get the police there and they wouldn't come, but maybe I'm wrong. Again, mechanical standards, floor covering, sanitation standards, tub shower, structural standards of wall. Light cover missing, extinguishers damaged, light ceiling damaged. Oh, passed. Handrails. So what didn't pass? Is all this stuff not make weather tight? Your living room door is not weather tight. We're evicting you. Disposal inoperable. Okay, so they went through every single unit, it looks like, and determined, oh, boiler room, light cover missing, extinguishers damaged, breaker box missing. So they went through every single room probably and came up with kitchen outlet missing, these issues, dining room screens missing, outlet cover replace, smoke detector missing, fan damaged, bathtub drain cover missing, doorknob inoperable. Oh, that's probably not very good. Oh no, it says passed. Okay, whatever that means. Or is this a date? I don't know. Oh, is this 7/19 and 8/22? So is this saying they passed the inspection after this was the initial inspection and they came back and passed it? Because these dates are later. Passed. Past 9/21, passed. This is so confusing. I mean, this would make it seem like if they found issues, they came back and it was passed, or maybe I'm reading it wrong. I don't know. Maybe someone can tell me exactly what all this means. So I think passed would mean ceiling finish repairs. Could you imagine if they went through some of the properties I buy and what they look like? Everybody would be evicted immediately. Closet door detached. Screens improper fit. Floor cover damaged. Wall paint. Sink drain clogged. You should probably fix that. Toilet maintenance hardware. But again, all of these, I won't go through all of them, but this is, how long does this go? But they came back and they said they passed. I don't know. I'm not sure. Oh, here's a report in 2022, the same thing. So they went through, oh, locked out, lockout, tenant refusal. Make weather tight, add bottom lock. Okay. That's the same thing a year before. And then we have some pictures. There's a dumpster. Some trash out there. More trash. That's definitely cause to evict everybody. Oh, inoperable vehicles. Uh-oh. Expired tags. No! The cars have expired tags. You better evict everyone. Oh, I'm sorry, but the more... Interesting situation. If anybody has more insight into it, love to hear what you think. And we'll have to see how this progresses, or if it just gets kind of swept under the rug and we don't hear about it again. Thanks for watching. And of course, we'll be back with more videos on my properties, rentals, commercial properties, liquor store, mini mart, all that stuff. Laundromats coming up soon. I go through this. Oh, look at those potholes. You've got to evict them. They were looking for any and every possible reason to go after this guy. The more I look at this. What's this? What's wrong here? Oh, there's a broken window. Okay, that's bad. There's possibly some closet doors blocking the window. And people wonder why I tow cars and give people green stickers when they don't have plates or we have weird vehicles at our property. Because apparently I am running the risk of all my tenants being evicted by the city. Obviously that's bad. Broken window. That's broken. Some rust. There's some more rust. Oh no, someone's working on their car. Oh God. Oh, they're jumping it. You cannot jump your car at an apartment building. I think everybody knows that's illegal and will get you evicted by the city. I mean, that's just common sense. There's your ceiling damage. I mean, there's definitely some stuff here. God, how much stuff is here? Oh, I mean, there's definitely some stuff they should have fixed, but then it comes back to, is that because, what's wrong here? Or did they take a picture of every door they went through? You know, it's tough for them to fix things if tenants won't let you in, or they're squatting, or they're not real tenants. You know, I've been through that. What is a razor? Is this what's wrong here? The coil? This is insane. They were after this guy. You guys think I got singled out for stuff. Tires. Of course there's tires there. Wow. What is this for? Weeds? Tires, trash. Overall property. Okay, I don't have time to go through all of this, but I'll try and send a link to this if you guys want to see it and go through it. This is just crazy stuff. Wow, interesting. So this was me last week at my local courthouse in Greeley, fighting the $2,000 weed violation I got, not for weeds, not weed, weeds for my yard. We ended up redoing it. So I feel a little better about my stuff now that I'm going through after seeing this other stuff. Now, maybe that landlord is in the wrong and he completely screwed up and is lying about everything. And that's possible. I don't know exactly what happened there. But from everything we just saw, it sure seems like crime was obviously a massive issue. And the town wanted the landlord to take care of it, which seems tricky to me. And they were going after him for every single thing they could. Now, there could have been some serious violations in there, right? There could have been some stuff that needed to be fixed. Let's focus on those. Let's not focus on a pothole and vehicles with old registration. That just makes you look petty, like there were not legitimate reasons when all of that stuff is included. So I don't know if anything will happen from this. I don't know where they go from here. Interesting to read through this and see all this. And I'm not that far away from this area. So I'm hoping things stay safe around here, or safe-ish. I did see that Colorado Springs said they had a total of 24, not 24,000, not 2,400, 24 illegal immigrants coming into their area that they made contact with, and that they had a different policy than Denver, where Denver had 40,000. So I have not seen huge issues in Greeley in my area. We do have some homeless. We've got some other issues, but we haven't heard or seen about a massive, immigrant population moving in. So, and I'm not even saying, I'm not sitting here saying these immigrants are awful people and horrible or anything like that. Hey, they're trying to do what's best for their family. But at the same time, Denver is taking away resources from its citizens to help with non-citizens, which I think a lot of people would say is an issue and a problem. And this kind of highlights a lot of housing issues and different things going on. And we already have a housing shortage, and they're kicking out people with 6 days notice out of apartments. What a crazy world we live in right now. I don't even know what to say. I guess that's it. I'll have more videos coming up on my laundromats, liquor store, rentals, multifamily. I'm buying a new property in Aplex here in a couple of weeks that probably would get shut down by Aurora if they saw it. So we're going to work on fixing it up and making it nicer. But yeah, we'll be back soon. Let me know what you think. If you have any more insights on this or information, or if there's anything I got wrong, feel free to comment below. I'd love to get educated on this issue and learn more about it too.